Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting moment to talk about business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 today, we'll look at some of the biggest stories in the world of business. We'll look at the stock market and the prices of the currencies itself, in particular looking at Nigeria's Naira, and also extract the verifying details in the commodities. But we begin with Meta and the ruling. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has been accused of misleading the public about the risks of using social media and contributing to a mental health crisis among youth. The claims were made in a federal lawsuit which was announced by dozens of US states. They said the company used addictive features to ensnare users while concealing the substantial dangers of its platform. Meta said it was disappointing. The lawsuit said Meta had broken consumer protection laws by engaging in deceptive conduct. It also said that the company collected data on children under the age of 13, flaunting its obligation under the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Amid devastating states of the war between Israel and Hamas, the markets have feared uncertainties in the Middle East and supply chain disruption if this escalates to the neighboring countries. Meanwhile, the United States Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has warned that the U.S. would respond decisively if Iran and its proxies attack Americans. The sternest warning yet as the Biden administration tries to keep Tehran from joining the war between Israel and Hamas. Blinken spoke at the UN Security Council meeting on Tuesday.
We do not want this war to widen. But if Iran or its proxies attack U.S. personnel anywhere, make no mistake, we will defend our people, we will defend our security swiftly and decisively. To all the members of this Council, if you, like the United States, want to prevent this conflict from spreading, tell Iran, tell its proxies, in public, in private, through every means, do not open another front against Israel in this conflict. Do not attack Israel's partners. And we urge members to go a step further. Make clear that if Iran or its proxies widen this conflict and put more civilians at risk, you will hold them accountable. Act as if the security and stability of the entire region and beyond is on the line, because it is. Fourth and finally, even as we address this immediate crisis, we all agree that we must redouble our collective efforts to build an enduring political solution to the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. The only road to lasting peace and security in the region, the only way to...
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on Israel and Hamas to halt that war, saying the parties were killing and injuring civilians in violation of international law. Well, according to him, the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people, he told the Security Council on Tuesday. Let's find out more.
We also recognize and condemned unequivocally the horrifying and unprecedented 7 October acts of terror by Hamas in Israel. Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring, and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets against civilian targets. All hostages must be treated humanely and released immediately and without conditions. It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. We must demand that all parties uphold and respect their obligations under international humanitarian law.
Meanwhile, food and other supplies have been delivered to about 150 displaced Palestinian families sheltering at the encampment in southern Gaza. Now looking at stories within the United States of America. United Automobile Workers UAW strikes at General Motors plant in Texas as union goes after automakers the car crash. First it was Ford, then Stellantis, and now a General Motors factory has been added to the growing list of highly profitable plants where the United Auto Workers Union is on strike. Let's find out details of this.
We are the union. We are the union. The mighty, mighty union. I hope they see that we have the power to slow their profits, encourage them to get back to the table and meet our demands.
A new report by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has found that China is not the main cause of debt distress in sub-Saharan Africa. Well, according to African Stories, the report titled Regional Economic Outlook for Africa found that Chinese loans account for just 6% of sub-Saharan Africa's public debt. According to the report, some 60.9% of the region's public debt is now domestic commercial borrowing with higher interest rates and shorter maturities, while multilateral lenders hold 18.7% of the debts. It is noteworthy that the debt owed to China has not been the principal contributor to the region's public debt surge in the past 15 years, the IMF stated in a side report about sub-Saharan Africa's economic relations with China that it released early this month. Still in Africa, more than 500 workers at a South African mine had been underground since Sunday, apparently due to a dispute between two unions. According to reports, the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, employees at the One Gold Mother East Mine in Johannesburg are being held underground against their will. Rival unions clash over recognition, leaving miners stranded. NUM has been the company's designated labor union for more than 10 years. Quite concerning there. Still looking at recent reports. Kenya, Cote d'Ivoire and Rwanda are among the fastest growing African economies in 2023, according to a new report by the World Bank. The strong economic performance is due to sound macroeconomic policies, investment in infrastructure and human capital, and a diversified economic base. The World Bank report is a positive sign for the African economy, with growth expected to accelerate in the forecasting horizon. The report forecast that economic activity in sub-Saharan Africa will accelerate to 3.7% in 2024 and 4.1% in 2025, a signal that growth in the region has bottomed out this year. In Ghana, Ghana is actively pursuing an increase in its oil and gas production through the sale of additional exploration rights, aiming to prevent leaving valuable fossil fuels untapped and generate revenue to fund its energy transition, according to reports. Ghana produces 160,000 to 170,000 barrels per day of crude oil and about 325 million standard cubic feet per day of natural gas. Ghana is also looking to increase clean energy in its power generation mix and exports more electricity to neighboring countries. And it forms the crux of the matter from an African point of view. Meanwhile, the government of Namibia has taken harsh measures against the Chinese mining company Xingfeng Investments. Well, it has to do with exports of lithium. Namibia holds Zinfeng Investment lithium exports of alleged law violations. The move aims to encourage domestic processing of essential minerals for clean energy. And it's that conversation. Now let's talk about the state of things in Nigeria. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it uncovered 149 cases of crude oil theft across Niger Delta from 14th to 20th October 2023. In a statement, the company said that in one of the incidents, an oil bunkering site was uncovered in Oshuobodo between two Antan flow stations, south of Oguta Naval Base in Imo State. This discovery was made possible after an invasion by the military following information gathered by a surveillance carried out by Target Energy, Tantita Security Services, Operation Delta Safe, and the military in August. It noted that drums of crude oil feeding from the illegal connection, bags used for storing crude, and more were discovered on the camp. Still in Nigeria. The Lagos State Division of the Tax Appeal Tribunal has ordered MTN Nigeria Communication to pay $72.551 million in tax default to the Federal Inland Revenue Services from 2007 to 2017. However, the tribunal absolved the telecommunication firm from paying the sum of $21.039 million as penalties and interest on the principal sum. A five-person panel led by Professor A.B. Hamad gave the verdict and order recently while delivering judgment in an appeal filed and filed by the telecommunication company against the request by the FIRS to pay the default. Still in Nigeria. The Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, has shared 903.48 billion naira September 2023 Federation account revenue to the federal, states, and local governments. And Director of Press and Public Relations, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Bawa Mokwa, said that the FAAC communique placed the total revenue available in September 2023 at 1,594.763 billion naira. The balance in the excess crude accounts, ECA, was $473,754. We'll go on a short break. When we return, it would be Business 360 continues with economic statistics all around the world and the markets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It is Business 360 and my name is Blyden Okem. And now to global economic standings all around the world, beginning with Australian inflation rates. Australia inflation rate is at lowest in 1.5 years, 5.4% year-on-year in the third quarter. Australia's inflation rate fell to 5.4% in the third quarter of 2023, and down from 6% in the prior period, and compared to market forecast of 5.3%. This marks the third quarter in a row of lower annual inflation, pointing to the lowest figure since the first quarter of 2022, driven by a slowdown in goods and services inflation. Quarter on quarter, the index rose by 1.2%. Let's move to the charts indicating Australia's inflation rates this morning. The charts. According to a statistical report from Australian Bureau of Statistics, inflation stood at 0.9% and then 1.1% as of January 2021, before moving even higher to 3.8% by July in 2021. Come to 2022 by January, it increased to 3.5% and was on the rise by 2022 July 6.1%, and went to a peak this year of 7.8% by January before a slow decline and currently a 5.4% after hitting 6% in July. It's a story. And now let's talk about the state of things regarding China. China, one of the world's top wheat producer, will import up to 13 million metric tons of wheat this season after persistent rain resulted in a series of lost harvests. With international wheat prices currently at a 3-year lows, will China extra demand provide an updraft for the market? Let's have insights by Jim McCormick regarding this before talking about the commodity markets.
Even though China is the world's top wheat producer and is projected to produce 137 million metric tons of wheat this year, they are forecasted to import up to an additional 13 million metric tons. Persistent rains have reduced the quality of the current Chinese wheat crop by 30 to 40 million tons, leaving it suitable for livestock feed but not human consumption. This is forcing China to import higher quality wheat to make up for some of the poor quality wheat losses. Chinese buyers have been scooping up supplies from Canada, France, and the U.S. over the past month as international wheat prices have recently dropped to 3-year lows, even as the IGC projects world wheat supplies at 785 million metric tons, 18 million metric tons below last year's supply. U.S. prices are currently the lowest in the world, which should encourage more U.S. purchases in the near term.
Is an outline regarding the commodities. But let's talk about the commodity market now. Move to the market trade and see what the value of the markets are this morning, the commodity market. The commodity market this morning have given different outlines. One of it being that of crude oil, the U.S. crude, the West Texas Intermediate crude WTI. The current price is $83 per barrel. No significant change in the morning market. For Brent, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, the current price is $88 per barrel this morning, upward by 0.14 points, a positive 0.16% appreciation. For natural gas, the price level is upward by 0.023 points, a 0.69% appreciation. Gold price for the metals is at $1,981 per ounce, a decline for gold this period, quite shocking, at a negative 4.35%, a negative 4.35 points, a negative 0.22%. For silver, same story, dropping slightly, $22 per ounce. Our copper price is slightly downward by a negative 0.58%, $3.6 per pound is the price of copper, and soybeans gaining 1.88 points this morning, a positive 0.15% appreciation. Now talking about the markets and looking at the foreign exchange market, beginning with the Nigerian Naira. The exchange rate between the Naira and the dollar fell to 847 Naira per dollar on Tuesday. This represented a 6.93% depreciation from the 793 Naira per dollar recorded a day earlier. This is according to official data. And now it's time to move to the market and see what the prices would be for these currency pairs, beginning with the US dollar, again the Naira, and afterwards we'll look at the parallel markets. The Naira's perspective in the market has indicated a price level at 789 per US dollar. A struggle at the open of today's market for the US dollar anyway, the US dollar dropping a negative 5.93 points, a negative 0.75%, but from yesterday it's been